You're about to watch a Trains Newswire video. If you enjoy what you see, consider looking at some of our other full-length videos. Chicago, America's railroad capital. 20th Century Limited. And a new collection of top-quality documentaries from producer Rich Luckin. All of these and more are available on our website, kalmbachhobbystore.com.
Hi there, Trains Nation. Jim Wrinn with you on this beautiful day. My good colleague Steve Sweeney here to report all the week's news of this short week, but and also a little anomaly for us too. We're actually filming this on Thursday afternoon.
Right.
Because on Friday morning, our good friends in video services are out and about in the field, so we won't be able to do this, but we're going to go ahead and talk about this. So if something big takes place in the railroad world on Friday morning, we didn't miss it. We are at work.
That's right.
Go to Newswire and check it out.
You're going to have to read it.
You'll have to go and check it out. But there's still plenty of news going on this week, and Steve and I are going to give you a little quick recap of the highlights.
We are?
Yes, we will.
Okay. So let's do that. So, okay, Jim, the biggest thing that's going on right now in the country anyway, at least in North America, is the aftermath of one hurricane and then the preparation to get the heck out of the way of another one. So Hurricane Harvey, South Texas, East Texas, and Western Louisiana and Gulf Coast communities are still recovering from that. Looks like Union Pacific is almost recovered its service. They were the hardest hit. They got the most lines in and around Houston. BNSF this week said they are up and running with a few delays, but all their yards are up and running. And Kansas City Southern is just waiting on trackage rights over BN and UP to make sure it can get to all of its customers.
That's pretty cool.
So that is pretty cool. But interestingly, we had a story earlier this week about BNSF railway employees who are actually going out into the storm or into the floodwaters after the storm and helping to rescue people. So that was pretty cool to see that on Newswire. And then in Florida,
everybody's getting out of Dodge.
Getting out of Dodge for Hurricane Irma, currently a Category 5. Heck, it's just a really big honking hurricane with lots of wind and water. We're worried about the transit system in Miami. We're worried about Brightline, which is based out of West Palm Beach. They were going to start service later this year. We don't know if they will or not. Of course, there's Florida East Coast. If the hurricane continues right up, the coast of Florida, either on the Atlantic side or the Gulf side or the Atlantic side from your point of view, we're worried about CSX headquarters in Jacksonville. Maybe it'll hit Atlanta and flood. We're going to be watching this. The sad thing is it's going to happen over the weekend. I mean, it's sad anyway, but I mean especially sad because we won't be able to cover it for you live with text updates and updates on Newswire. But we will be watching it over the weekend and give you the latest come Monday morning.
And of course, Amtrak is full. A lot of the northbound trains, Meteor, the Star, Auto Train, all sold out, getting out of there. And then, of course, Amtrak is going to be curtailing its southbound services. I think they're truncating them at Jacksonville. So you can't get back to South Florida. We can get out, can't get back in, but at least Amtrak is there to provide that very, very needed service.
Absolutely,
to get folks out of there.
A quick story on Amtrak. We're watching this week as the U.S. House of Representatives and the Senate are debating all sorts of transportation appropriations, and the U.S. House, defeated a proposal to defund Amtrak. I guess that's the right way, but it's a roundabout way of saying the House Republicans kept Amtrak funding for right now, and it looks like it will go on to the Senate. And it looks like Amtrak will be at least in normal condition after this budget cycle is finished. So keep watching Newswire for that. We've got Bob Edmondson in Washington keeping close eyes on that. Something else that didn't happen in Washington or won't happen in Washington next week is a Surface Transportation Board hearing on CSX. Did you see this?
I saw that. They canceled it due to the weather.
Due to the hurricane. So to be determined. But the Surface Transportation Board did publish, and we got this from Bill Stevens earlier on Thursday, that there are at least 13 different organizations or shippers that are concerned with CSX service. Try and say that 5 times fast. That we're going to appear in Washington to complain or at least gripe about what's been happening in CSX over the summertime. So.
And there was one story this week, or maybe this week or maybe last week, about one shipper, I think one of the chemical shippers for chlorine, said they were okay now. They're happy again.
Right. Last week they were complaining that CSX service was bad, and this week they said, after personal phone call from Hunter Harrison, Hunter Harrison, CEO of CSX, that they are satisfied that their issues will be taken care of.
Things are going back to normal. Good for them.
Yeah, very good for them. Should we talk about the fire
Yes,
out
we should.
west?
Yep.
There's
Columbia River Gorge.
Columbia
A lot
River
of
Gorge.
fires out west right now, but the big one, of course, that affects railroading, Columbia River Gorge. You've got the UP on the south side of the gorge. You've got BNSF on the north side, and it makes it tough for those guys because that is a huge artery in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I think it's actually Union Pacific's choke point in the Pacific Northwest. So they're kind of stopped up in Texas and they're stopped up in the Northwest, and then Chicago is always a block point. Heaven forbid anything happen to LA in the next 2 or 3 months.
You guys at the Harriman Dispatch Center are earning your pay and then some.
Yes, you are. Kudos to all of you. And then we have fire, Sugar Pine Railroad.
Yep, the narrow gauge logging railroad in the Sierras, right outside of the entrance to Yosemite, had a fire, and they lost some preserved west side equipment. None of the operating equipment, none of the shays or the log cars or the village that's recreated there were destroyed, but they did lose some historic artifacts, including a snowplow.
Yes.
Which was really sad. I was just going through pictures I took out there last year, and I actually did have the presence of mind to snap pictures of those things before I got off that little trip.
Good for you. Good for you. Preserved memories. Great Northern Lodge, preserved Great Northern Lodge that was in Montana, also succumbed to a wildfire this past week. So see that story on Newswire as well.
That would be the Sperry Chalet.
That's right. Have you been there?
I have been there. You have to ride a horse to get there.
Really?
It's in Glacier National Park, and I haven't looked at the pictures yet, but it's a sad thing because Great Northern did build it, and on one side of the building they did have the Great Northern sign on the side of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, pretty sad. We did. Justin Franz was able to get us a picture of the lodge with smoke in the background. This is from the National Park Service.
Yep.
Yeah. NPS.
Yep.
So we've got that on Newswire as well. Interesting. Amtrak. New CEO Richard Anderson, right? Was on CBS this morning, earlier this week. And he spoke for about 6 or 7 minutes. We've got a link to that on Newswire. We've got a full story from Bob Johnston on Newswire. And his priority, Mr. Anderson's priority, is the infrastructure. You know, making sure that Amtrak trains run on time, that they have the equipment is in good shape, it's safe, that they have the people they need, and they have the resources they need. Go check it out. It's really interesting. Something that I learned from that interview that I had not heard before, and maybe I just missed it, was that Anderson is only taking $1 a year salary.
Oh,
He's taking no pay, essentially.
Wow, good for
him. Which
him.
is the same thing as Wick Moorman's doing.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. He wants to serve the country.
Good guy.
So, Jim, interesting note, down in the Gulf of Mexico, there's a hurricane that went through last week. But did you hear about G&W, Genesee, Wyoming?
I saw they were partnering on the Mexico to Alabama car ferry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it's been in service for a while. The car ferry's been in service, but now G&W is officially partnering with that to try and move traffic between
That's awesome.
Mexico and Alabama.
I love that.
You know,
Love car ferries.
What I was thinking is, that'd be a great perishables traffic trade.
It would. I didn't think about that.
Get some bananas or pineapples or whatever is locally, and then just
move them fast.
Move them fast. 4-day transit.
Nice.
5-day transit. You can be in Atlanta, Chicago, wherever you need to be.
Good stuff.
Well, that's cool. Jim, do you have anything else before I have my one last thing?
Yes, just a couple of things. Be sure and check out the item that we ran today about intermodal traffic. It set a record last month. Go be sure and check that out. 1.4 million units traveled by rail last month.
Most
an all-time record. And then just a real quick planning note, check out the Newswire item about Selling Sunshine, our video with Rich Luckin about Florida trains. It's going to premiere at Winter Park, Florida next month, and there's details about how you can be there, and you can meet Pete Hansen, who is a longtime and valued trains contributor and the scriptwriter for this show. So,
and you can meet Rich Luckin, too.
Yes, Rich will be there as well. So be sure and check that out. Details about how you can attend there. But yeah, you got one more item.
I got one more item.
Yeah.
So for a little bit of fun and frivolity,
yes,
we put a story out on Newswire this week about a sick cow or injured cow that was blocking passenger rail traffic in Ireland. Now, I would not normally write a limerick about this, hold your groans, but it happened near the city of Limerick, so I had to. May I, Jim?
Oh, please.
Okay, let's do it. So, rail workers found a bovine that was sick. Though they tried hard, nothing would make her move that quick. Trains were delayed, but none were dismayed by a cow blocking the tracks near Limerick.
I like that. Maybe we should try for a limerick per week.
Yeah, well, I was thinking, since we are selling sunshine, since we are selling sunshine, I wanted to throw it out there to our audience and say, hey, can you Limerick the news? Limerick the news, 5 lines. The rules are on Wikipedia somewhere. Put it on the comment section below, and the winner that we choose, that Jim and I say has the best limerick on the news, keep it clean, gets a Selling Sunshine DVD, courtesy of Trains Newswire and Company.
Hey, that works for me.
So, yeah, it sounds good. If you have news and tips, send it to newswire@trainsmag.com. That's the email address I read every day, newswire@trainsmag.com, to send your tips and video links. For everyone at Trains Magazine, we hope you have a great weekend.
And if you're down south, be sure and be safe. Take care.